Okay, this is a response to Argosize, or Mark if you prefer. I'd like to talk quickly about why I think that your reply kind of missed mine. Now, I asked pretty directly in my video, what do you think some biological differences are between men and women in terms of what they're able to achieve, or what their interests are, or whatever you think it is that determines some of these differential representations in, say, the sciences, or well, that's what I'm going to stick to, because that's what I have evidence for. It's what I've thrown some stuff up about, and rather than going and digging up new stuff, since this has not been addressed, I'd like to know what you think these biological differences are, rather than kind of leaving it as this nebulous, well, we don't know, but it certainly isn't sexism, because to me that sounds like kind of a weak argument, because if you're unwilling to refute what I have to say about why I think it's biologically determined, I don't think you have a very good case that it's not socially determined. And if there are social factors that are steering women away from the sciences, I think that's important to address. And I think that's important to address because we do not need to be making the talent pool that we are taking from any smaller. As a society, economically speaking, even as the human race, it is important that we utilize our human resources the best we can. We need to be training scientists and engineers. We need innovators. And if you are not tapping your human resources the way that you could be, you are leaving behind people who could be making a real difference. I talked briefly about this in a video called A Single Data Point is Not a Trend. You can check that out. Basically, it's just about increasing trends in the sciences in terms of women's representation. As long as they have increasing trends of representation, I don't think it's even reasonable to suggest that it's biological. Biology doesn't change on that time scale, etc. I don't want to make the whole argument again, so I'm not going to. If you want to check out that video, you can check it out. I'll throw a link in the sidebar for that one too. Your mentioning of gender gaps is nice. I like it because it's kind of an evidence-based thing, which is appreciated. Now, you say when you control for more variables, you actually see a shortening of the gap, and that's it's interesting. I like it. Mostly, again, because it's evidence-based, and you got something there. It's an interesting thing to talk about. It doesn't close it, so there's clearly other factors. So it's not that we found the only variable, but we found that different variables can definitely change the way we look at these things. Anyway, when you find a way to use variables to close the gap, I think it will be more interesting in the context of whether or not sexism is existent in terms of a cultural phenomena. I'm not going to talk about women bearing children versus men or anything like that. It seems more of a social issue, kind of a political thought issue that I'm not going to talk about in this video. And I think sort of from here, I just want to say your video kind of veered off topic for me. And that's because for me the topic is about sexism, whether it exists, and whether it exists as a social construct that can be changed. And I think that's what's important here. And you then go into this whole tirade about how people need to be responsible for their actions, which I agree with you completely on. You use a very good quote by Dr. Stephen Marlowe, and I would even go further than what he said. I would say that because as humans, our only interface between us, the whatever it is that we call ourself, and the world is our behavior. The only thing we can change is our behavior. The only way that we can change the world is through our behavior. And so if you are looking to change your station in life, to change the results you're getting, you need to change your behavior, absolutely. The problem is that, to me, this doesn't seem like it has anything to do with the subject, because it's basically self-help. It's what should a woman be doing, how should she approach her life, not is sexism a part of it and is it cultural. So I don't really see it as relevant. And I can understand why you do. You talk about how feminists use sexism as a crutch, how they say, well, you know, I am where I am because of all these oppressions. But this doesn't make any sense to me. And the reason is because it runs completely contrary to my experience of feminists. My experience of feminists is that much more often than not they are educated. Generally they are college graduates, they're professionals. Rarely do I meet the uneducated housewife who's a feminist. Usually they're pretty sure that women have it great the way it is. It's usually rather women who have worked hard to be where they are who have expressed these feminist ideas to me. My mother is one of these people. She graduated with a computer engineering degree from Carnegie Mellon, one of the top engineering schools in the U.S. here, as a first-generation college student. And she's a feminist, and she makes a lot of money, and she doesn't complain about her station in life. It's not about saying, well, I couldn't do this other thing because. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with talking about changing the expectations we have of young women in terms of what we say or what we think they'll be good at, etc., in the hopes of drawing from a wider talent pool, in terms of giving these women more ability to choose for themselves, to be more self-determining. And to me, self-determining women is integral to men's rights. When you have women who are not relying on men for money, who are not expecting the man to be the one who works, women who are not just looking for a husband to take care of her, these are the women who I think truly respect men's rights, and these are also the women who, in my experience, have been feminists, are the women who work hard for the money that they have and who support themselves. So it's like you have this whole depiction of women and feminists that it doesn't go with my personal experiences, so I have a hard time recognizing it. I have a hard time recognizing the argument because of that. You're right. If people are sitting on their ass not doing anything and they're complaining that it's oppression keeping them down, they need to get off their ass. But I've never seen that, personally speaking. Maybe you have some statistics on that. Maybe more deadbeat women are feminists than not, but I would be very surprised. It's not what I've experienced. I think that women's rights give men more men's rights because by giving females a subordinate position, you require men to pick up this slack that you basically created in this society. So I'm suggesting that society needs to be changed in order to create better representation for women, both to empower them and to increase women's and men's rights, and to increase the productivity of society. Let me know if you disagree with any of these points. Thank you.